So, hey, we will do the fourth video of this series today, and it's the job of the empty. We actually play with monk seeder rather than five mesmer, but for the empty, it's pretty similar. There's few difficulty when you have mesmer monk because you don't have actual global seed, and for instance, for the ranger underlord, it can be quite harder as well for the 6 in any case, let's start. So it's a city start, and the run was a 22 minutes, a very high 22, but there was a DC and quite a big mistake at the 6-0 that led to a fairly slow veil as well. So for the pecans, I do put the apple. Some people probably don't put it when they start the city because of JDOT, right? So with the protective bond, you will only take 5% of the damage. And if you have less HP, you will take less damage, but it's not that useful. No, I mean, I'd rather have a Apple, in fact. Yeah, at this point, I wait a little bit, so it was a little quite odd timing. You really in city, it's a little bit annoying because you don't want to aggro the mob with when they are glitched. So I will just maybe show the mechanic of what is a group that is glitched. So if you look there, that group is moving. So right now, if you take them, they will follow you quite far. But let's wait a little bit and just look at this group. In fact, so those few mob there, they will start moving together. So there you go. Look when they move. They get, see that was the they get they move together quite fast. If you aggro at this moment or in the like few sec that follow, they won't follow you whatsoever. They will break very fast. And this is the major difficulty as a tank in cities to actually take them at a good timing. So now I make sure to tie. I'll have a share aggro. You have to pay attention to that. And there you go. You make sure to aggro everything at the right timing. So again, see this group is balling. Yeah. So usually that's the way you will take those group outside of city. So just make sure to not take them when they are ball. So this ball actually will be pretty terrible. I should have pulled way more than that, but I thought it was two spirit in the back. And yeah, because in fact those two tuck were actually casting, or at least one. Yeah, only one was casting, I think. Anyway, they were really far, and it kind of should have pulled more there, and, and then my DC wasn't that good, and I mean the ball was just terrible overall. I didn't want to HOS to be more in the center because the Mesmer were already there as a tank, especially man tank, you're really a support player. So you don't want to make the job harder for the mesmer. Obviously, making a bad ball make the job harder, but if you start moving when they start spiking because they didn't anticipate that you will be moving, it's a very bad thing. And then again, the monk did forget to come, but he didn't notice a little bit later. That's what we do in IT. So you keep the recall on the emo that you put at the start, and then the seeder let you HOS out of him, and you keep your recall on the emo. That's a pretty simple ball. I use my dash to make sure to not get stuck on the side with, especially with a rollback, or that can be quite annoying. Although, yeah, about the bar, so the dash can be replaced by pretty much anything. There's if you don't feel safe about the erupt, you can use your a mantra in the mantra of resolution to not get robbed. You can also use dark escape, which is overall quite good. I prefer dash, but that's not a big deal. Here, make sure to not block the snake. Stay in range of the emo. The emo should stay in range as well as the seeder. Like where he is, it's completely good. You can be even more there. So the mesmer have a seed when they spike. You see they didn't got the seed and they're really low. I think there was even one or two death. I think that's because Isidore was a bit late to put the second Iwi. And the other thing, make sure to put the recall. So with a 105 HP armor, so that is with a +3, uh, so Major Rune on every piece and no plus HP, just armor on the Insignia, you will you will take 0 damage or 1 damage with the Shadow Farm, the Shroud, and the Recall. So make sure to have the Recall, just for the damage rejection, right? So now that's quite simple. Try to not get blocked. Try to not do too much zigzag because you don't want to dodge shot, in fact, with the zone effect. So if you don't dodge shot, the emo will lose less energy because there will be less damage overall. And so again, this is quite special. There's especially empty that start, they will pull way further. But this is a very interesting place to ball because if you pay attention to the terrain, to the field, there's like a slope there. So you can actually make a perfect ball if you ball on the corner. The tuck and the tuck and the caster will have the same range, so they will ball together if you make them ball on the slope on the corner, and then you just ball the rune with the second pull. Again, see the ball was perfect there, and I should have pulled a little bit more. Yeah, that's not. I mean, that is obviously completely fine, but it could have been a dot, which is always quite nice when you're empty. Roll breaks, then the mesmer. You can go back to your full HP armor. Note that when you get there at this point, if you don't have the Mantra of Resolution, you can actually get Rup when you. So see, that's pretty much a timing. Try to not put your Shadow Form right there. Try to go as far as possible from Jada. But at this point, you will need to put Shadow Form. If you should pay attention. Make sure you don't get Rup. You can get Rup at this point. If you get Rup, either be ready to pop a Piston. Well, you should just be ready to pop a Piston. That's quite important. If you have Mantra of Resolution, obviously you cannot get Rup. So this is pretty basic. Take the gem, and we get into Veil. At this point, yeah. Note that I was early enough. If you see the TT that is already there, it's not necessarily interesting to take this group because it will a little bit like make stuff run everywhere. But oh, sorry. Here you see that again. Normally in our tactic, the emo should have walled this wave, but it's obvious that it's not there yet. Might be because it's late, might be because he forgot or didn't know. So see, I stop and make sure that the TT stop. If the TT doesn't stop, I must stop there. When you do that, you can watch the TT video that I did. You do a little sidewalk on the right to make the wall a little bit wider. You see, it's a little bit the wall was a little bit small, and they ran around. So now it's pretty basic. When you aggro, you put IU. The TT should be walling this group, and you just run. One important thing, look where I run. I don't directly run into the mesmer. I want to have an angle where it's not too much to the right because otherwise the mob, well, the fiend might run around, but I don't want to be too much to the left because if I run into the mesmer, the chalk and gas might rob them, right? It's the AoE rob. So that's pretty much the angle that you want to have to make sure to not aggro. That recall could have been a little bit risky, although with the behavior of the fiend was quite obvious that he wouldn't rob me. In any case, even if I got robbed, it wouldn't have been that bad. I could already put the recall on the next wave. So quite similar, make sure to have the right angle, not too much on the right, not too much on the, not on the mesmer. For sure not on the mesmer, that's the most important. That's another thing. You see here, you never want to break too early. Look what the TT will do. I did explain that in the TT video, especially when you have a SOH. You don't want to run around before because well, in this case, they didn't follow, but the fiend might follow. You see, that fiend start attacking me. If I keep running, it will follow me, and that will very much disturb the mesmer. So you can jump on him, but don't run away. If, so here we go. We are at the fifth wave. So that's on the Unger. Should be the emo that wall, and he's indeed there. Note that in general, the pie isn't that important on the MT, but I do put it for the Ranger Lord, especially that I play without Mantra, because it makes a skill cast faster and less chance and to be rough. See, that's an interesting thing. I will actually get stuck, and the reflex that you should have is to HOS right away through their wall. Like you can run a little bit, but then HOS through the wall, and then you keep going. Make sure if you play with dash to not use dash when you're still in the aggro. Go out of the aggro and then use dash, because if you use dash and the mobs still target you, they might run away. When you go, you start target the Underlord, ping it, so you can then target it just by pressing your shortcut that is T by default. Again, quite often you do that in Vel. You just run. Whenever you get at the point you will get stuck, boom, you HOS. Boom. There you go. When you do the DC, if you do it under Underlord, you can also do it on the Fiend on the right. That's not a problem. In fact, it's probably better. But in any case, if you HOS on the Fiend, never HOS full range, because if you HOS full range, the mob that are in the back might break. So HOS mid range. See, with the seed, it's very easy because you get heal and you won't die. Yeah. So here you want to break quite early. You don't necessarily need to go to the end, especially if the pull is good. You see every mob is there. There's no problem. They have plenty of time to kill it, especially with Imlad. I did explain it in my emo video, but the emo should be way further there. Because I don't want to break on the mesmer. That's useless. So if we look where I actually break, look, the emo should be there at the max range and just follow slowly and then boom, break you. You could break me, could have break me like over there. And I would have been way faster. Yeah, I did probably didn't want to say it, but I don't think I will. There you go. So now you recall the emo. Always keep an eyes on the emo. Although it's the job of the emo to stay in range, you don't you want to avoid mistake overall. Want to pay attention. That's a job of support. So there you go. So again, I think this emo doesn't play often with me with us, so he didn't know that he actually have to pull this mob. So again, keep an eyes on him. He didn't do his job, so it's easy for me to do it. Make the job overall, the run overall faster, right? Again, here that's quite special. It used to be often people what they were doing, they were using Imlad on the golem or any mob, in fact, and DCing to it. Although generally with faster run, you don't do that anymore. So because the DC recast is too slow, and when you need it, when you do the clover pool or the mesmer pool, it's not necessary recast yet. So what you do, you just go away a little bit, take a mesmer and target that should be in the end, and whatever the mob or close enough, you just HOS. True. Make sure KD the closest. There will often be a mob that follow you because he settle on you while you are waiting. So you KD him. Now it's quite important. You target one tormentor. See, and I ping it. I recommend to do it as an empty, although it's quite important that the other mesmer, especially if they are awake, they should actually ping you a one as well, the last one, especially if you don't have a target. But it's quite often the people don't think of it. I did mention it in the emo as well as the Mesmer Monk video. So again, I pull, take the back target. as soon as I aggro just back a little bit and DC quite fast. Don't temporize your DC too long. You might get rub, and if you get rub, it get quite annoying. And again, you stop. They show spike that wasn't the best spike. You'll notice I could have probably done it a little bit more, but I go on when I stop, I will move a little bit on the right, do a sidewalk to increase the width of the wall, but that was definitely not enough. And that's a little bit hard to do it there because you see, actually I'm sticking the wall right now, but it's not that obvious. On the you look pretty far from the wall, and it's a little bit it's not obvious where you are actually compared to the wall. And there we go. The spike should have been a little bit better there. It was a little quite slow. Make sure to not cast if you're under days. That's useless. You'll get rub right away. And there you go. One difference here, if you play with the Mesmer Monk, so with the 5 Mesmer, you will actually, the Mesmer Monk will come with you, and in this case, you can recall him. So I did mention in my TT video that at the Monk Lord, I make an example where I have my SOH, I flat bow and break my SOH, and it and the Lord goes out of his group. Now you can do it without SOH, although it's quite harder. Well, you can do it with recall, obviously, if you break fast enough. You can also do it like just like I will do. In fact, it will fail because maybe it was a bit far or I was too close. But the idea is that since it's a flat bow, it has a long duration. The arrow has a long flight duration. Whenever you shoot, you back walk. And it does happen, especially if it's maybe the first mob but quite close. You still have a share aggro, but if you back enough, it might break from the other tormentor. In any case, if you don't have a speed boost, don't even try to break him. Just um, just die. To die faster, you can go under 105 HP armor and move sidewalk to dodge and have the zone effect that deal like 35 damage or so, 40 maybe. There we go. Quite important here. As the empty, you want to make the job easier. The emo can already start bonding you. So you go in his range and see he's already it save him some time. You don't need to stay there for actually tanking the necro. In fact, if you have Shadow Farm, don't stay under the necro. The major damage from the mesmer is actually the mistrust. It does 189 damage with all pecons, and you want and if you're there with Shadow Farm, you might not cast. So now, quite important when you play every job, make the job easier for the emo. Look at your bond. I don't need the Balthazar Spirit, but I make sure I have my 2 other bond. If I don't, I stay close to the emo. I don't want him to have to run everywhere just to bond people. Now wait a little bit. Normally we take right away because the emo was a little bit close. I don't want this tendril to start attacking the emo and hence fell the PI and pretty much break everything. I put my 2 enchantment right away to reduce the damage by 10. Very useful. You generally don't want to have recall, although you can probably put it on the TK to even reduce the damage more. And here you see the IU already died. So I draw on the map that I will go take him because I saw that I had plenty of time on my IU. But the actual Vor just went. I just want to point out another thing that is quite important. So see what I do. So I stop on the Mesmer. And look, when the tendril die, I don't want to go on the right. I see many maintain that directly move on the right to aggro this group, but you don't want to do that because when this group died, you don't want to have a share aggro with the IU group. Although you shouldn't start running right away. Just move maybe a little bit on the left or stay there. And if you see that you don't have the aggro, you can run. If you have the aggro because they spawn too close, wait a little bit. The IU should start running right away, and you can temporize a little bit. The problem is that if you have a share aggro, there might be mob that start running both way and like switch aggro, and they might just break and not be there for their 6. So see, I move a little bit on the left, I wait, I look at my compass, I see I don't have the aggro whatsoever over the group, so now I can start running without any problem. They will follow me and there won't be a share aggro. So if the IU didn't die, that in fact I think there was a seed missing. Doesn't seem like there was a seed. Yeah, there was definitely no seed. That will have probably kept the IU alive because the often the emo does put life bound on the IU. Anyway. So now quite important, I go in the group. I want to let the guys go first, the Mesmer, especially because I know it's the Vor. You kind of need the Vor. And you see, because it was so late and so on, we actually still broke a group. So we definitely lose quite some time here because we have to do two pull, and it's a little bit on the IU and on the monk to not have handled it correctly. But the spawn was also quite bad for the IU, like when you look. And I don't think he was actually on the shield set. Quite important when you're IU to go on a shield set to reduce the damage. But there you go. You just spike. Don't start running away. You see what the monk did? Maybe it worked very well when you're a monk, but for sure when you're assassin and you start running away, the fiend will follow you. So let them die and then go. Here it's quite important. As the empty again, make the job easier for the emo. See what I will do? I will move on the left to aggro this angel. He will start attacking me, and then I move out. So I make sure the first shot of this angel don't touch anyone. So you see, if we go back, uh, as soon as they die, so I take the first group like that. This angel will do his first hit with pretty much no one into. This angel will hit no one, and then I will target this angel and make sure to rob it. And see, you try to die, and just there the emo took way less damage, way less of an energy spike, which would just make the job easier. It's easier for him to take his gem. He won't lose bound. You will have the bound for sure for here because he won't lose as much more energy. So it just makes things easier. As the mesmer as well, if you have Imlad, try to wrap or PI 110 Joe, so one shot and he die. So there you go. Here I made the decision. You can do two things when you have a spirit. It's quite hard to jump on him because they don't have a long range, so they will still run on you. I choose to jump on the side to be able to HOS on the wall. It's a little bit safer. You just HOS on the wall that give you 200 HP without you moving really, so the mob don't break right away. It can be useful, especially if the tank, the emo and the cedar are long. Again, keep an eye always on the emo. Make his job easier. I stay in range because he can EE me. Here the cedar is awake. He go trigger because it's his job. I HOS out of the emo. At this point, I wasn't sure if he had HOS. That's why I didn't directly go down. I also want to let the other guys go. Yeah, okay, so he has HOS. I'll let him jump and then recall him. That's our tactic that we do. So generally what you can do, especially if you don't have HOS, the regular tactic is just that you recall him, you pull his grub there, you go as far as you can, really up to there. He will run like that. He shouldn't go out of your range, and then boom, dash or speed boost if you have, and break. In our tactic, what we do, there's a group there that is one heart and two spirit. The two spirit will follow, in fact, are the only mob that will follow you when you run at 33% speed boost. So and obviously they don't cast kill, right? They aren't casters. So we pull them there so the TT when he finish, he doesn't have to put shadow farm. He can just run DC and take the quest, which is faster. It's quite useful, especially for the fast rift that we will do. So I need to pop a cupcake though because I don't have Dark Escape. With Dark Escape, it's not a problem. And see, I just aggro max range and run forward with 33%. I go far enough. I don't want to pull them on those NPC, but you want to pull them far enough. So since I have a cupcake, my priority now is to just die. Otherwise, I could have went and tank the last pop. The last pop is actually a flesh, a earth, and a art. What you do, you just whenever they spawn, target the art and jump on him. And since the two other mob are melee, they will um, go on you. So now I'm not sure. I just die. And normally the UA could just res me. In fact, the IU went and scroll me. It wasn't necessary. The UA could have done it easily. Any case. So here in IT, we do a special tactic at the Rift that was first made in the 16-minute DOA, which is a fast cap. So in fact, if you already played DOA, you probably noticed that generally the empty start at this pretty much there, and it take the group that is there, pull it like that. There will be a lot of mob around the Rift. Take them all, take the group that is there, and then pull it down, and then the mesmer go. But what we notice is that this group actually run to the east, which let way more than enough time to cap the rift before they get in range. In fact, they never get in range if you pay attention. So the idea is rather than instead of starting there, you actually start directly there, like I will show, and you just pull down, take the group, and it's quite faster. So you will see. A little trick here to know where you can be positioned. Pretty sure you can put a marker with toolbox, right? It's but it's quite easy in fact to just determine. So you see this triangle, or well, kind of this square or whatever. Um, you that so imagine that's a dot, and the other dot is kind of the edge of this curve, and then you draw a line between the two, and you just stand on the line or just over the line. So you'll see I will actually draw it. So pay attention to the combats. So that's a dot, that's a dot, and there you go, that's the line. So you just want to stand pretty much over it, and well, after that, you see I'm a little bit to the right, kind of just get used. Make sure to not forget your recall, and the emo, and the other guys, which can be a mesmer in the case of 5 mesmer, but in case it's the monk, stands in fact a little bit closer. So you see, look when they spawn. Another important thing, ping shadow form to indicate the TT that you're ready for him to take the quest. So boom, look where they spawn. That was perfect. I'm in the range of all the mob that are on the rift and this group and this group. This group will run away. I just pulled them out of the rift. Now they can trigger right away. Make sure to not run down. Run to the west, because whenever they get inside the rift range, the there's a group of flesh and earth will spawn. So now you aggro, you just go down right away, not waiting whatsoever. And now at this point, you just break. And you see, you can cap, you have plenty of time, and this group is not a problem whatsoever. So now you see there are a group that you might aggro, that's not a problem. The group that is coming back fast is actually just a group of flesh and earth that spawn there. They are just melee, they break at 33%, and they don't cast skill. So you can aggro them. Although this group, you cannot, there's spirit and water in it. So now we do something quite special. We actually recall the emo, and the emo should stand a little bit closer to the darkness spawn. It won't do it because it's not you of the tactic. Also, look, normally you will wait for them to finish killing the Order of Whisper, and then just ball together and you jump. But in this case, the ball was pretty good. The Mesmer were spiking quite well, so I directly jump it. I also KD the art so it doesn't heal, but I mean that's a very minor. And then you see break recall. If he was a little bit better, I would have been in range of the darkness easier. But well, see here the darkness might be a little bit far from EOE, so I actually go and go see if the EOE is in fact in range of the darknesses. If it's not, I tell the monk, so maybe we will need to piston, or what we can do if it's quite close is just to wall a little bit more to the back and let the earth come before killing them a little bit. So see here the monk, the emo probably fuse or put a bomb. So let's see, maybe fuse a check there. Yeah, he will probably fuse these guys. Well, yes, he fused these guys when they were in range, and hence he took the aggro. I did explain in my emo video, when you fuse, you have to run for to be in range. So now, well, there's not really a wall that you can do, but you mostly try to block some mob, and there you go, and they die. At this point, there's something quite important. You see, there's still the Tengu that are there. As the empty, it's your responsibility with the guy with the VAR, which is the guys that use them, If it's someone else, it's with the other guys, but to kill them. So what you do, your journey just go on. You aggro the enemies, the enemies that are there, the obscurity, and just pull them on the stone. Since you're empty, it's quite easy. Just put your shadow form and your SF. Put recall in the VAR. The VAR will keep running. You pull them up on the stone, and then you break. Nothing crazy here. And at this point, you can notice that actually the monk did lose the connection. So that's but he will come back quite fast. So in fact, what we'll do, which is it's easier with a SOH, or in fact with Toolbox you can even set up a hotkey to break in one click. In fact, I don't have it, so I was quite happy that it worked. It's what we call the EE trick. So whenever you EE, I break recall, and you will see it will actually come. There you go. So in fact, we lost almost no time, like only a few seconds, even though it DC'd, which is quite nice. So here, as the empty, it's your job to actually jump in the group. So I wait on for the QZ to put my IU, and then boom, I jump, I kill you the VU. That's generally what you will do. The jump wasn't that great. Generally, we want to be at max range, but I was. And here you try to go under the uh, the Rage Elite, right? Shockwave. And normally you won't have a shadow form, so you can use him that. It won't KD, so it won't rub, so it won't affect the mistrust, and it will um, do some damage. Here, as a MT, your job is actually to target the key and KD the seed, right? So you start attacking with your dagger, and at this point I knew he wouldn't seed, and since he was in the middle of the ball, I just KD so he died really fast, and you see he will die right away. But otherwise, you can always just wait and KD the seeds if he start casting it. At this point, nothing special. Try to KD the Dreamy. Don't run off the range right away, um, because they might follow you. Normally, you should really pay attention when casting your skills. I saw that the mob were not in range, so I didn't have any danger of getting robbed. If you don't have to time to put recall, it's not that bad. You can always put it on the mesmer after. But in our tactic, normally the emo, he doesn't do it, but someone will react and do it for him. He should wait and only enter when people are enough in the room, like another guys did, which was very useful. So now, important when you aggro this group. Well, you will obviously aggro the rage first, but then aggro the anguish. This is the mob that take the longer to settle. So you aggro them, then you go aggro those are warriors, so they settle right away. They just run to you. Those are mesmers, so you actually want to stick them. So make sure you're on the EW range, and there you go. So now, since there's a Dreamy, I move forward a little bit, but I saw there was some mob that start breaking, so that's perfect. I want to make sure there's an aggro on the Dreamy. It's also the job of the Mesmer. It's probably this Mesmer that you see wait a little bit because he's aware of that to make sure he die. And then we're ready to push. So I explained in some other video, but in our tactic, we actually push. We let the TT make a ball. We don't go in right away. So you make the ball, and actually I'm a little brain off. I should already have the key and target it, be ready to wrap him. And I will see I change, and boom, I will fail the wrap on the seed, which is yeah a little bit bad. In this case, since I failed the wrap on the seed, you have to make sure when you attack someone that he's not getting ill, right? Because the seed will ill around, and everyone around him and him. Obviously the seed cannot be cast on himself. The key cannot cast the seed on himself, so you can attack it without worry. There you go. You make sure to aggro. In this case, generally the emo will wall with you because it's a little bit strange wall. See, they can just run through the the rock. They get like pushed through the rock and they can run. But if the emo is there, you can just move even more to the rock side. Here, there's nothing very special to do. Know that if the group there spawn close, for instance, spawns in range, it's your job to react quite fast and go make a wall as well for the second group. You can also give the ping to the back target when you're in the wall, so the mesmer can easily mistrust and so on. But in the case they spawn off of range, there's nothing really you have to do. You just wait. Also, see, I did explain my TT video. You don't want the Dreamy to be the first mob you get in range with because otherwise you may get robbed. It was a little bit unlucky because he did try to push it. You see, he tried to push it, but maybe he should have went a little bit more to the right, so he run to the west rather than the north. But because of that, you see that he's the first mob that Mesmer will encounter. So I come just in range just to kill him, make sure they don't get robbed before they start casting. For instance, a P block on the first kills can completely change the spike. Since we actually do we push in the room 4, I didn't take the reward nor the quest because I don't need them and I want to be as fast as possible to start pulling the mob away, especially this Anguish group. The Anguish take a long time to settle, so there we go. I don't want to slow down too much the main team. So see, they barely stopped running, although it was a very bad. They, they they weren't at a good play. Again, at this point, that's a usual ping. You will take that. There will always be. In fact, there's a Morganite group that is there with the QZ. So you go there. Whenever you enter the QZ, boom, you put your IU. Now it's very important you go around the pillar, and when you go around the pillar, you can stop, cast your Shroud and your Shadow Farm, and wait a little bit. The reason why you do that is that you have one group that start breaking, okay? And and by the behavior of your allies, it's quite easy to see if the snake got stuck. If the snake got stuck, don't start running. Just stop there. See, and in fact, I didn't have okay. No group will have broken because I didn't have the Morganite group. But sometimes you have a Morganite from the start, and this group break. If if the first snake is stuck, let them up completely break, and when they completely break, you go take the Anguish. So just you wait so the Morganite don't break like that and aggro your allies. So now whenever you go aggro again, there's a group of Anguish. So they take some time to settle. You want to aggro them first, so they start running to you, not slow down too much the ally, and then always keep an eye on the emo, right? And then if the emo has to keep an eye on you, it's important that you do it as well. So now when you aggro everything, you go and run like that, just so you know that this guy, the NLK has the ping and there's a ping there, so the snake might start running in like that. So you pull. Yeah, I was like that was a little bit bad. And then quite important, that's the start of actually pulling the mob away from the chest. Do start now. So there's a lot of MT that have difficulty because they have the reflex of pulling the mob away from the chest, but that's not possible because the mob will break. So what you do, right now you have plenty of time before your allies want to take the chest, obviously, because they have to kill Arg and then the Fury. So you take this time, you make sure you have plenty of time on your Shadow Farm. You go down this way and you pull as much as possible. Just go pull a little bit like that, and then you come back. That's why you want as much time as possible on your Shadow Farm, is to be able to come back fast, because you see there's a mug that broke. And then, in fact, he did come back quite slowly. I thought he was already back because I didn't saw him in my range. And that was quite risky because see, he start coming back and he might have aggro him, which will have made a share aggro. So that's why I move a little more on the left, so he doesn't run in diagonal. So now it's quite important when you do the second pull, see where the mob are. So so to pull them up away from the chest, rather than pulling them to the north, you pull them to the west and the east, and they will align to the same line, right? By pulling them down and up, they will align on this line on the x-axis. Well, on the axis, and then they will be out of range of the chest. So now another important thing, the Dreamy will all you follow you from the left of where you're going. So if you're going to the east, they will be to the north. If you're going to the west, they will be to the south. So it's important that your last pull is actually to the east, right? So the Dreamy are to the north and out of the range of the chest. So now it's quite easy. You see where they are. It's they are very far. There's no risk that they broke whatsoever if you're going to the east. and I just pull a little bit. Now you have to pay attention. There will always be a drider group that is coming, so you don't want to go too far. Although there's a little trick that work 100%. You see the pillar that is there. If the mob are a little bit too far, just go around the pillar. You just do, and you stop on the south. The dreamy will be a little like there, and it won't be a problem. As well, the mob will you will still aggro them. But since I saw my mob were already far enough, it's quite easy to see with this black spot that is there. If they are at the right of the black spot, there's no way they aggro. And ergo, I just in range to make sure I aggro this Drider group. And the chest is perfectly clean. Look where they are. That's the chest. There's no way whatsoever they aggro. And in fact, imagine there's a spirit in the Fury. Sometimes there's a famine in this group. And when the Mesmer spike the Fury, they actually take aggro on the Morganite group. If you're really close to the chest, when the Morganite group break, they will aggro and you have a share aggro on everything in the middle. That is very annoying. So if you're that far, even if the Morganite group, the only group that they will have aggro is actually the Margonite. They can perfectly handle it by just killing the Dabi, and then there's like, and with the seed, especially with the seed, it's very easy to handle. And there you go. There's no problem whatsoever. Tiger says they can go around to aggro. They really have to try. So that's it for the empty job.